What's going on YouTube? No Nonsense Know-How here again. And in this video, I'm gonna give you a quick rundown on how to operate this John Deere 2305 front loader backhoe. Gonna try to keep this real rapid fire and to the point, so if I miss anything, I'll be sure to add that to the description down below. This is a 2008 model with the 24 horsepower Yanmar engine. It's four-wheel drive with a hydrostatic transmission, and it takes diesel fuel only. The first and foremost tip is going to be take it easy on the controls and do not operate this on slopes until you have a good feel for the machine and how it behaves. When there's a load in the bucket, you could easily roll her over and potentially kill yourself. It is of course equipped with the rollover protection bar, which can decrease the likeliness of you getting hurt. Staying buckled up while you're in the saddle will also help decrease the chances of injury. And remember, this is a lot higher than where your head is, so if you're pulling into a garage, don't take your garage door out. All right, now let's dive into the controls. To start this tractor, you have to make sure the electronically actuated power takeoff, or PTO, is turned off, so pushed in. Set your throttle back down to idle, and then the transmission range selector has to be in neutral. So right now it's in high. The middle would be neutral there, and that's your low range forward. So we'll leave that in neutral. Now turn the ignition to the on position. Verify you have enough fuel. Never run this down into the red, because if you run it out, it can get air in the high pressure fuel system. After 3 seconds, you'll hear the glow plug relay turn off. You can now crank her right up. Take note that all of your warning lights are out. This is the over temp light, this is the low oil pressure light, and this is the battery charging light. Before putting her to work, you should always raise the RPM up to maybe about 1800 or 2000 and let the engine and hydraulic system get up to temperature. The front bucket's operated with this joystick, but you can see right now it's locked out. So you want to come down below the seat, push this over and down, and now she's unlocked, and you can pull back to lift up. This way to curl the bucket out, this way to curl the bucket in. To lower right there, and then to put it into float position, you push it all the way forward and it will stay where the bucket just floats over the terrain. Your parking brake is on the left side. Push that all the way down, lift up on this, and release the parking brake. It stays down. To release, push it in, hold down the lock, and it's off. When you're ready to drive it, this left pedal is your forward, and this is the reverse. You can see it's not going anywhere though, because I still have it neutral. Do not make the rookie move of pushing this, realizing you're not going anywhere, and then jamming it into gear, because you will damage the transmission. You have to release those pedals, and then you can slide it into high. Right now it's not going into high though, so just tap the pedal a little bit, let off, and then it will slide into high. I do, however, always recommend just push down the parking brake before you put it into gear every time. Because when you do that, if you are still mistakenly on one of these pedals, it actually pushes that pedal back to the neutral position, and then you can safely shift in. So now you push down, we're in low. Release the brake, set the RPM up, lift the bucket, and now we can drive around in the low range, forward and reverse. Take it easy on the pedals until you're comfortable with them. You will normally be using the low range for most everything you do. If you have to travel though and go faster, put it into the high range. You won't have as much power, and it's harder on the transmission though if you're doing a lot of heavy work and you're leaving it in high. So I recommend leaving it in low at all times. The harder you push these pedals, the more power and the faster the machine is. When you release them, it should come to a stop, but if it doesn't, don't forget about your brake. If you need extra traction, you have your four-wheel drive right here. Just flip that forward, but always make sure to take it off when you're going back to the pavement or somewhere where you have good traction. On the left is the rear differential lock, which can also help get out of a tight spot. A safety feature that a lot of tractors have is if you're gonna get off the seat, you have to turn your PTO off and put it into neutral. Otherwise, when you get up, the seat switch will kill the motor. When you're getting work done, I find setting the throttle up around 2000 or 2500 gives you a good balance of power and speed of the hydraulics. Of course, if you need more, you can bring it up to 540 PTO speed or around 3000. We'll talk about the 3-point and PTO systems toward the end here. Let me give you a quick run through on the backhoe. On these outriggers, I keep a strap that keeps them from settling down over time. If you don't have a strap, sometimes the hydraulics can weep out and this might hit your car or something, so you don't want that. You're next going to take your front loader and make sure the bucket is contacting the ground. You can put a little bit of preload on it. Some guys like to actually lift it up so the wheels are off the ground, but that's really just going to be preference. You now grab this seat, and this is kind of a bear. I've found that you pull up a little bit while rotating this way, and once it's up, you can spin it around. But I will say, I don't know if there's something wrong with mine. This seat can be a real pain in the butt though. Once you have it there, you push it back to lock it. Now we can set our RPMs up a little bit and hop on. Lower down your outriggers by pushing these both all the way forward till they contact the ground, and lift up the tractor just a touch. Good. And get back off the tractor because I forgot to remove the lockout pins. You have one right here, and my rotation pin is missing. But to remove that lower pin, you have to pull her back on the left, and it'll take the load off the pin, take it out, and both your pins drop in here. Not going to go into a ton of detail on the Backhoe because there's just a really big learning curve to become efficient with these. Only thing I'll say is definitely take it easy on the left control, because if you jerk this forward and back too hard, it can be very violent. So that's to extend out, and then this way to rotate the boom. This one will send her out like that, and then you have curling ability right here. So otherwise, you're going to have to just play with and get used to it. Just don't be too violent, because this is mounted to the tractor and you could definitely hurt the machine. Make sure your feet are clear when you're bringing the outriggers up. Don't forget to put your lockout pins back in, and then we can rotate our seat back. You gotta make sure that you freaking really finagle with it to get it to work. It's got this latch right here that has to be hooked in there. It's real easy to put it on wrong and have that sitting up top here. Kind of a bad design, or something's wrong with mine, I'm not sure. And don't forget to re-secure your outriggers so they don't weep down. The rotation lockout is not quite as critical as the boom lockout, because if you leave this pin out, this will settle down in a matter of a few hours and be laying on the ground. If you're digging a deep hole, keep in mind that this piston can be exposed, and if you scrub the side of a hole or rocks, you're going to put gouges. I once had a guy using a Backhoe of mine, and he brought it back, and this was gouged in by like a 1/4 inch. Don't even know how he did that or what he did, but keep that in mind. So while this machine doesn't have the 3-point hitch, I'll still show you the controls and how that operates. You can see it does have the pins and links down there, but this, with this plastic cover on it, that's your rear PTO. And under the tractor is your mid PTO, which would be used for like a belly mower. This lever on the right, you would pull back to raise your 3-point arms, and then to lower, you would push it down. But if it's not lowering, keep in mind you do have a hydraulic flow valve right here that when it's locked out to the full clockwise, your 3-point implement will stay up in there and not seep down. And once you loosen it a half turn, you can lower and raise the implement as you please. To engage the PTO shaft, you have this lever. Full forward is the mid PTO. In the middle is both the mid and the rear PTO. Toward the back is just the rear PTO. And then to engage the shaft and turn your implement on, you would pull back on this electronic switch. Just make sure when you're starting an implement like a tiller or anything else to always have it raised up first and not under any load. On the floor pan is the mower height adjustment knob. I've never used that before though, so I can't tell you too much about that. And on the left side, you have your turn signals, hazards, headlights, turn signal button here. I also never really used that much though, so tinker around with it. I think that mostly covers everything. Jumping back to this front loader, if you have a heavy load like a full bucket of stone in there, only lift it up as high as you need to go, so maybe 6 inches. That way, if you do hit a slope or a big rock under a tire and the machine goes to tip over, always keep your hand on this lever and you can drop down that bucket as need be. I feel like I can't say that enough since I've heard horror stories of guys rolling these type of machines over. This does have a pretty low center of gravity compared to my Kubota B7500, but she can still get tippy on you. Hopefully this video helped you out and I didn't go too quick. Like usual, consider dropping a thumbs up, subscribing, or checking out my channel. If it did help you, drop any comments, feedback, or suggestions down below. Definitely appreciate that too. Don't forget to check the description for any updates or corrections I might add in the future. And I'll leave you off where we were in the intro with a quick shot of my bees. I could stand here all day staring at them and watching what they do. Beautiful sound. Actually, look at this. See this big one? It's about to go back in. That might be the darn queen right there. Yeah. I don't see that too often. Oh, they're actually like, seems like they're pushing her away. Anybody, somebody comment below if they know if that's a queen or not. I don't mess with these guys as much as I should. I usually just take honey from them, and that's it. Alrighty, I'll see you.